Mexico is being torn apart by a brutal drug war, as rival cartels are locked in a battle for dominance over the lucrative United States drug market. And to keep the drugs flowing north,
this is another AR.
The guns must flow south.
Just a short walk over this bridge is Juarez, murder capital of the world.
Just across the border from downtown El Paso, Texas, lies Ciudad Juarez, ground zero for the Mexican drug war.
Just got a call that 2 people have been shot.
Here, gangland execution-style murders have become a daily norm. The morgues have run out of space to stack the bodies.
How many people do you think that you've killed?
Unas 15 personas.
We look into the eyes of a hitman and venture into the territory of some of the most violent gangs in the world, where desperate young men are in training to kill for the cartels.
Is that what you aspire to? You want to be in the big leagues of the cartel?
Sí, porque ahorita siendo de un cartel todos tienen dinero fácil. Si me mataran no me importaría.
We embed with the Mexican army and investigate claims that the high-powered assault rifles being used by the cartels are bought in the United States and smuggled into Mexico, fueling the drug war violence that is spiraling out of control.
Last year, 30,000 guns were recovered in Mexico that we know came from the United States.
About 10 feet in front of me is a guy laying in the street. He's been shot in the head.
Where do the guns come from that you use in your hits?
Pues se me hace que hacen las mejores armas y pues se confía uno más en las armas de Estados Unidos que las de Canadá.
Con 4 equipos vamos a establecer 3 áreas, el área alfa, el área beta y el área gamma, para poder identificar si existe armamento por el crimen organizado. ¡Yo!
This may look and feel like a war zone halfway around the world. Military tactics and heavy weaponry, just like that which is being used in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. But we are in fact only 5 minutes away from El Paso, Texas, in Juarez, Mexico, where the Mexican army has been deployed to battle drug cartels in what is widely considered the most dangerous city in the world.
Even the special forces have come in, as you can see. The cartel is so heavily armed, the military needs everything they got to go up against these guys.
Even with the army deployed to many of the major cities in Mexico, the violence has only intensified. At issue are drug smuggling corridors into the United States being viciously fought over by the Sinaloa and Juarez cartels. In the past 4 years, more than 47,000 people have been killed in Mexico. In Juarez alone, it's not uncommon to have more than a dozen execution-style killings in a single day, earning Juarez the infamous name, Murder City.
Juárez es la ciudad más violenta del mundo por encima de países como Colombia, Irak, Afganistán, que muchos de esos países están en guerra. Sí. Yo les decía, yo trabajo en zona de guerra. Ese es mi trabajo.
To report this story, we enlisted the help of Miguel Macias, who runs a security firm that protects diplomats, factory supervisors, and journalists. With Miguel in a chase car, we rode along for the night with the Juarez CSI teams, the busiest in the world.
So it looks like it's a male and a female, and
and their bodies are just there lying in the street right now in front of us. It looks like execution style.
The victims were shot at close range with AR-15 assault rifles while attempting to flee their cars during a targeted killing.
It looks like the entire back seat is literally flooded with blood.
As the CSI teams gather evidence, most of them wear masks to hide their identities. Investigating crime in Juarez is dangerous business.
Do you ever fear for your life?
Yes. Every day when we go to the job, I always ask to get, and we'll go back home with my family. Es con lo que vivimos aquí en Juárez.
At the morgue, the gunshot victims come in one after another. The latest victim is a 35-year-old male shot over a dozen times with an assault rifle.
He's just riddled with bullets, all over both arms, his chest, and his legs. Just looks like he just got sprayed.
In our first days in Mexico, we witnessed the unrelenting, brutal killings that have become a normal part of life here. But it wasn't until we saw the bodies stacked to the ceiling of the freezer in the morgue that the enormity of the violence terrorizing this country really sank in.
You can see the bags are dripping with blood, and there's body parts sticking out of them. They're overwhelmed. And these are all bodies that haven't even been identified. These are all John Does. All gunshots.
Coming up, we meet a man who makes his living killing for the cartel. The violent drug war has turned the streets in many of Mexico's cities into virtual police states. In a country in which half of the population lives in poverty, the cartels are known to exploit young people and even the elderly as drug smugglers and arms traffickers. In the eyes of the authorities, everyone is a suspect. Traveling at speeds of 70 to 80 miles an hour through narrow streets and along dirt roads, the police move from one crime scene to the next, chasing what seems like a never-ending body count.
We weren't here for 15 seconds when the police got another call that another shooting has occurred.
It's another shooting in another street.
We spent the entire night driving from one murder scene to another. The next morning, we arrived at this one. A young woman shot with both an AK-47 and a 9mm pistol while attending the funeral service of her brother, who himself was shot just a few days before.
This one looks particularly gruesome. You can see the ballistic teams right now counting the number of shell casings that were found at the scene. From here, I can count up to 27.
At most crime scenes in Juarez, it's impossible to get anyone to talk about what they saw. The hitmen are known to remain in the area, watching everything that goes on, making sure the victims are dead and that no one is talking with the authorities. Today, though, two elderly women wanted to talk to us. They're fed up, they said, with the violence that's terrorizing their neighborhood.
Está muy feo aquí. Un vecino le mataron a su nieto y aquí mi vecino.
Mientras de que tengamos aquí armas, y ya sale uno a 2 cuadras y no sabe uno ni con quién se va a encontrar. Yo tengo un nieto que acaba de salir ahorita y él no ha encontrado trabajo, pero sí, fíjese que por mala suerte hay quien le ofrezca fácilmente trabajo y yo le digo que no, que aunque comamos comida muy pobre, pero que no quiero que ande en cosas malas.
We followed the CSI team back to the lab, where the investigators looked at the evidence from the murder of the woman shot 27 times outside her brother's funeral.
Es una tristeza muy grande que esté pasando todo esto. Se aprendió a vivir con el narcotráfico aquí en Ciudad Juárez, con tantas armas. O sea, hay muchas personas que se les hace fácil trabajar. Si a una persona le pagan por matar a una persona y no tiene trabajo y necesita dinero por la misma situación, pues lo va a hacer.
Right now I'm going to see a guy who is part of the Juarez cartel. He's a hitman.
Wanting to learn more about who was actually carrying out these brutal murders, we arranged to meet with a contract killer from La Línea, a brutal gang used by the Juarez cartel to carry out targeted hits on their rivals.
How are we going to go about meeting this guy?
All the time I'm behind you, don't worry, and my team is watching.
Miguel hid his people around the parking structure where the meeting was to take place, just in case something went wrong.
It's another guy from my team. Do you see the car?
Cool being right here?
The hitman agreed to talk to us for just 15 minutes and covered his face to protect his identity. We met out in the open, careful to stay within sight of Miguel's bodyguards and in range of their weapons.
Are you armed right now?
Por seguridad mía, sí.
How many people do you think that you've killed?
Unas 15 personas.
15 persons.
How old were you the first time you killed somebody?
¿Qué edad tenías cuando mataste a la primera persona?
15 años.
15 years old.
15.
There is an unlimited supply of poor young men in Mexico like this one, willing to work and kill for the cartels.
Normalmente cobro de 3,000 a 3,500.
It's about $200. Wow, it's not a whole lot of money.
Con la economía como está aquí, o sea, es lo suficiente.
Do you have any regrets about what you do?
En el primero sí, ahorita ya no. Ya no. O sea, mucha gente lo hace y gana dinero. Yo, ¿por qué no? Necesito dinero, me pagan, yo lo hago.
Why have you agreed to talk to us?
The hitman misunderstood my question and thought that I was implying he might have some reason not to trust us.
Ten confianza porque te digo, pues tú crees que yo estoy solo, pero no. O sea.
He said he's not alone right now.
Okay.
The mood turned quickly.
So should we leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Miguel insisted it was time to end the interview.
The question on our mind is that guy fine with the way this whole thing went?
Nelson lo va siguiendo, y con nosotros viene a distancia César y Elsa. Okay. Perfecto. These guys go to the north, and right now I'm going to the south.
Miguel, how do you think that whole thing went? Were you nervous at all during the interview?
Yeah, because this people is unpredictable.
As we drove away from the interview with the hitman, eerily, almost immediately we came upon another murder on the streets of Juarez.
Looks like a typical hit. Guy was shot while driving. What do you think happened?
Oh, this is normally for Juarez. This is the same scene, only change the bodies.
Had Miguel looked through the lens of our camera, he would have recognized that this was not just another one of the killings he sees every day. The victim was, in fact, his cousin Mario, an American citizen who worked as a supervisor in a factory in Juarez. He was killed in either a kidnapping attempt or a carjacking, gone tragically wrong. Miguel learned of Mario's death the following morning, when he saw the photos in the newspaper.
I just can't believe that we were there last night filming this and we had no idea.
I see the newspaper and I'm behind the photographer and I never see the body. He have one boy, 2 girls. This kid is our American citizen too. Oh man.
Is this the first time that you've cried about a death in this city?
Yeah.
Coming up, we see for ourselves where the seemingly endless supply of drug cartel foot soldiers is coming from.
Siendo de un cartel, todos tienen dinero fácil. Si me matara, no me importaría.
And we find out how they're getting their weapons. Until a few years ago, Juarez, Mexico, was a thriving border town. When the North American Free Trade Agreement took effect in the early 1990s, huge multinational corporations built factories all over town. Workers flooded in by the thousands.
As a gateway to the world of possibilities, a solid bridge towards sustained progress, creating
Juarez was a city on the rise.
Ciudad Juarez opens its arms to men and women who come in search of opportunities.
But after the economic downturn in the U.S. in 2001, more than 100,000 people in Juarez lost their jobs. Even more jobs were lost in 2006, when more than 10,000 companies shuttered their doors after the drug war violence erupted. Once a bustling tourist destination for Americans, today, downtown Juarez is a virtual ghost town. We went to see the man charged with pulling Juarez back from the brink of collapse, Mayor Hector Murguia. I wanted to ask him what he thought about the violence, drugs, and guns that have turned his city into the murder capital of the world.
What is the germ, what we said the soup who grows the bacteria for organized crime? Poverty, misery, lack of opportunities. Why in United States you don't have more insecurity? Why? Because young men, children, has equal opportunity. Everybody has over there food, health, education, clothes, housing.
To see where the drug cartels are finding so many young men willing to fight and die for them, we headed deep into the teeming colonias around Juarez, where young men find themselves with virtually no opportunities for work at all, and a temptation to join the criminal gangs rising up all around them.
What is it about growing up here that makes joining the cartel so attractive to young kids here?
No work, no park, things for the kids to get interested in something.
Ruth Rodriguez is a former gang member who lives in Colonia Panfilo Natera, one of the poorest and roughest neighborhoods in Juarez, home to the Azteca street gang, foot soldiers for the Juarez drug cartel.
Wow. And that's somebody's home right there?
Yes.
A lot of the kids live and they grow up in houses like this.
Yes, sir. I can say 75%.
So how long have you lived here?
Like 9 months. He's been living here 9 months.
Mi esposa y los niños ahí, y yo aquí pongo un colchón. La bebé ahí en su cuna.
Place is about 100 square feet. Sleeps a family of 4. All the walls have been made out of scraps of wood. And as you can see, there's not really a floor. This would be a very difficult place to live. Do you ever worry about your baby?
Ponemos la tablita esa, le ponemos su velo y ya, ni moyotes ni nada.
You're scared that an animal's gonna get to the baby. Jesus. And as it's raining, you can see it's already starting to leak a little bit. Makeshift bathroom that's just literally a toilet in the ground, surrounded by rugs. These shacks have no running water.
No.
And this is how most of the kids grow up.
Ooh, almost all of them. Yeah, almost all of them.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien, bien.
Bien. Good to see you.
We met Ruth's son Juan hanging out with his friends on the streets of the Colonia. None of them go to school or have a job.
When the cartel offer money to do jobs for them, is that tempting?
Pues digo que sí, pues es dinero, pues.
You're that desperate for money?
Por la necesidad.
Away from his mother, Juan and his friends showed off the guns they have to protect themselves from rival gangs.
Is it difficult to get a gun?
Es muy difícil conseguir una pistola.
No.
Where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years from now?
En 5 años yo me veo en un grupo ya más grande, así como en la familia o así en algo grande.
Is that what you aspire to? You want to be in the big leagues of the cartel?
Sí, porque ahorita siendo de un cartel, todos tienen dinero fácil, pueden levantar su casa grande. Si me mataran no me importaría.
As Juan moves even closer to a life of crime, Ruth worries that her influence on him is waning. She says that her rules at home are no match for the rewards offered by the drug cartels on the streets. As we walked together through the neighborhood, Ruth noticed a van filled with kids from a rival gang, driving slowly in reverse with the sliding door open.
No! Hey!
The van was headed straight for Juan and his friends, standing across the street.
Ay, hijo, disculpan, es que yo quería hablar con ustedes. Estaba oyendo que ustedes querían pelearse con ellos.
Los matan por pinche bullet, pinche
Oye, pero no, hijo.
The kids in the backseat of the van were armed. Were Ruth not there to talk them down, somebody would likely have gotten shot.
Is my kid in? Oh, that's hard.
What's your biggest fear?
Seeing him on TV getting shot or something. That will be the hardest thing.
Coming up, poverty and lack of opportunity may help explain why so many young men are willing to join and die for the drug cartels. But in a country with some of the strictest gun laws in the world, where are these criminal organizations getting their guns? As the drug war has intensified over the last few years in Juarez, Mexico, the daily executions have become more gruesome. The Juarez and Sinaloa cartels use horrific violence to demonstrate their ruthlessness and power to each other and to the population at large. The photos from the crime scenes run uncensored in the daily papers.
Every page, it's more and more bodies of people that have been killed. That's what consumes this entire paper. Bodies, 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 bodies.
In this morning paper, depicted in gory detail, were 27 murders committed the night before. Many of them were killed in a brazen attack on the Juarez prison, where thousands of criminal gang members are housed. In the surveillance footage from the attack, the prison guards can be seen vacating their posts, allowing a group of men, all armed with high-powered assault rifles, to enter the facility and open fire on a room full of members from a rival gang. We arrived at the prison to find relatives of inmates gathered outside the gates, desperate to find out if their loved ones were on the list of those who had perished in the attack the night before.
Hay 8 muertos allá adentro y no los quieren sacar. Ni una puta ambulancia se ha venido a arrimar a sacarlos.
The families were demanding answers from the authorities about how armed gang members were able to infiltrate the prison so easily and massacre so many.
Porque hay armas adentro, muchas armas. ¿Cómo las metieron?
Que la droga sale de aquí y el armamento sale de aquel lado.
Viene de allá hacia acá.
Viene de allá. Así se intercambia. La droga hacia allá y el armamento hacia acá.
Sí. En México, muy peligroso. Sí, es muy peligroso, pero es peligroso por parte de Estados Unidos.
Pues impotencia, la gente siente impotencia porque pues con esas mismas armas están matando a nuestros familiares, a nuestros parientes, nuestra misma gente, con eso se están matando aquí.
Later that day, the mayor's spokesperson addressed the media. The prison attack had renewed criticism about the easy accessibility of assault rifles among criminal gangs in Mexico.
La fiscalía está investigando de qué manera ingresaron al penal estas armas.
Do you believe they came from the United States?
Pues probablemente sí.
In the state capital of Chihuahua City, officers with the Mexican army showed us the weapons that their men have seized from crime scenes like the one at the prison.
Looking here, these are all AK-47 clips. There's another popular variant of the AK-47 that's coming through into Mexico because it's small and compact. You get a lot of bang for your buck. You can hide it in a coat really easily on your side.
Es esta, la americana, Col. Esta, por ejemplo. Es una de las Bushmasters de fabricación americana, norteamericana.
The vault contains more than 10,000 guns and over 150,000 rounds of ammunition, all seized in the last few years in just one small area along the border with the United States.
Guns are illegal in Mexico, right?
Pues sí, todo es armamento ilegal.
De eso depende mucho la delincuencia organizada, del armamento que ingresa ilegalmente al país.
So most of these were American?
Sí, su mayoría son americanas.
Some estimates put the number of guns flowing into Mexico from the U.S. at 2,000 a day. It's a staggering figure, given that there are only 6,000 legally registered firearms in all of Mexico. Coming up, we go undercover at a gun show and discover how easy it is to legally buy high-powered assault weapons in the United States with no questions asked. Mexico is being torn apart by a brutal drug war, as rival cartels are locked in a battle for dominance over the lucrative United States drug market. And to keep the drugs flowing north, the guns must flow south. To find out more about American guns in Mexico, we traveled to Washington to meet Agent Charles Hauser of the United States Bureau